Now that we know all of the mathematical operations that are present into Python, let's look into how you can assign values to different variables. Now, let's name this section as assignment operations, or just as assignment, assigning variables. We'll execute it up. Now, to execute or to assign something to a variable, it's quite easy. You just have to write the variable name. Let's say var1 is my variable 1 equal to, and whatever value you want to assign it over there. Let's say right now I want to assign 10. Successfully I have assigned 10. Now if I check var1, that is print var1, we will be getting whatever the value of var1 is, that is variable 1, right? Same thing we can do. Let's say we are assigning two numbers, that is num1 equals to 34 and num2 equals to 6. Now if I add out num1 plus num2, we will get 40. That is how important variables are. Now there's a particular way on how Python variable are names, and there are a lot of restrictions on how you should be naming out the variables. Okay, there are, in short, there are naming rules. To get out the rules, you just have to go into the notes folder. In that notes folder, you will be having a bunch of notebook files. In that notebook files, you will be getting this one, that is number data type. These are the notes for our Python course. All of the notebook files are having all the homework and explanation that we need. What are number data types, along with example, type and instances, arithmetic operations, and then we have Python variable names and naming rules. Now let's look into what are the naming rules that we should be following. We can use letters, numbers, underscore for writing variable names in Python, not anything different than that. Okay. If you try to write out something like this, add var1 equal to 34, it is not possible. If you do again var equals to 2, it is possible. Now if I try to print it out, var will get 2. So we can use letters, numbers, and underscore for writing out name. Second, a variable name must start with a letter or a underscore. If you try to start anything for numbers, it won't start and it will just throw out an error for us. Same thing, a variable name cannot start with a number. We have looked into it. Variable names are case sensitive. What I meant by case sensitive is, let's say I have var equals to 2 and small letter var equals to 3. If I print out var, it is a different value, and if I capital var, it is a different value. If I add them out, var, we are gonna get 5. So they are case sensitive. White spaces is not allowed in variable names. What I meant by this is, if you are naming out variable name, let's say my name or my number equals to 34, this will throw me an error. What you can do is, you can just write my number with an underscore between, and that's 34. If I check my number, we are gonna get 34. Now special characters are not allowed, as we saw that we cannot put at the rate, dollar sign, rupee sign, anything. Reserve words are not allowed as variable name. What are reserve words are, if you try to write something, print equals to 45, it will be assigned. As of now, if you check print, we are getting, but you shouldn't be doing that because we already have it as an reserved keyword. As you can see that this is as green in color, so we use print for this one, for displaying out. Okay, so we are getting an type error after that. Why? Because we have already used the keyword that is print, so we are getting this kind of error. Now that we are getting an error over here, that is print, we are not able to execute it. If something like this happens out, what you can do is, you can just click on kernel and you can click on restart. If there is any problem with the execution or your system just got lagged up, what you can do is, you can just restart the kernel, and if you print out now, it will be working just fine. So that's why don't use reserved words for naming out your variable names. That's it. These are the 7 rules that you should be following out when you are naming out a number. Now let's look into the next and the last thing that is needed over here, that is reassigning values. What do I mean by reassigning values is, let me rename it, reassigning values. I'm sorry if there's a typo over here. Okay, reassigning values. So let's say I have a num equal to 10 and I want to reassign something over here. Let me first check num is 10. Okay, this is Jupyter notebook, so if you just write out in the variable name and execute it, it will be able to display it. But you can also do it by like this also, and the output will just go away when you do this, but it is totally fine. Okay, let me remove num. Okay, 10. Now what do I mean by reassigning? If I want to add something or divide something or multiply something, then I can just do like this, num equal to num into 2. And now if I check num, it will be 20. What exactly is happening is num is initially 10, and if you are multiply 10 into 2, it becomes 20. This will be assigned back to the variable num. So num equal to 20. Okay, this line can also be written in a different way also, but let's look into some other factors also. That is num plus let's say 10. So if I check num now, num will be 30. Initially num was 20, I have added out plus 10 and it become 30. This line can also be written like this, num equal plus equal to 10. Again, there will be no spaces in between or there will be a typo. This statement and this statement is doing the same thing. It's up to you which one you are gonna use. Probably in the next session of our on the next Python modules, we are going to use this format. Okay, so if I check out num, it has been incremented by 10. Okay, so it's up to you if you want to use this. It's up to you if you want to use this. So that's it for today. Again, if you want to do the same thing for different operator, that is for multiplication equal to 2, you can do the same thing. If I check out num, we'll get 80. Okay, same thing for the subtraction, division, flow, all of these. You can just check it out, but just by changing this out. That's it for today's session of us, that is of numbers. We have successfully completed numbers. If you check out the notes of numbers, you are going to get a lot of new questions. We are going to get reassigning values, then we are going to get exercise questions and some homework questions for you guys too. So it's quite easy to solve it out. In this, take 2 input numbers and multiply them and show the output of it. We are taking 2 numbers, x, y. In z, we are just assigning the values, that is x into y, and then we are printing out the multiplication of x, y is z, that is 3, 4 equals to 12. Now, homework exercise, you can just check out one more question. Take 2, 3 numbers and display the addition, subtraction, and multiplication of them. Best of luck for this question. We'll meet again in our next session when we start with strings.